The filter-free diary. Uh,
Good evening. It's 5:26 and it's Christmas Eve today. And I've been going through episodes, making them, cleaning them, all that great stuff, uploading them, getting them ready to show up on YouTube and Facebook and I'm sitting here doing this work. And Spirit's like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was just like, whatever. And Spirit's like, well, tomorrow everything's going to be closed. So if you want food or something for Christmas, maybe you should get it. I'm like, oh, good point. So I used an app called Takeaway, and I ordered some sushi, and that should be here in about half an hour. And I got enough for tomorrow too. And the Spirit's like, so, sushi, that's what you want for Christmas, huh? And I'm like, yeah. What else am I going to get? And Spirit's like, how about your car? Yes. And at that moment, I got an email from the dock lady that said they'll be open till 5 today. So if I do want to get down there and get my car, everything's been checked in and we can go do that thing. So I freaked out. I ran around in circles and then I was like, okay, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? I had one of those moments. I was like, oh yeah, I got to get a taxi. I got to get over there because I returned the rental vehicle yesterday. So I looked up some taxi services, called them, didn't answer, got to a voicemail that I couldn't understand at all. It was Flemish, that's why. And I was like, okay, not that one. Called the next one. Same thing, voicemail, no human. Couldn't understand the message at all. And my heart sinks a little bit. I'm like, oh no. What if I can't get a taxi? Spirit's like, oh no, what if you try again? So I tried again. And a human answered the phone. And the human spoke English. And not for nothing. My experience this first week or so has really taught me that when it comes to programming machines, like, those cash registers that, can have all the buttons and you could place your order in and, they say a human can only perceive what a human can perceive, and it's true. But then the same is true for programs, right? If the program is only programmed to offer information in Flemish and not English or French or German or anything else, then unfortunately that program can only perceive information inside of its own perception, right? Which would be Flemish in that case. And I've been thinking about that lately because I've had to deal with a lot of machines here. And I'm learning. I'm using Google Translate as much as I can, but programs kind of work the same way humans do. They can only perceive what they can perceive. So anyways, I'm talking to a human taxi person, and they're like, can you text me the address? And my phone won't text here because it's an American phone, so the messaging doesn't work right. And I explained that to him, and I try to spell out the name of this place. And he's like, oh, okay, I see it on there. And he's like, I'll be there in like 10 minutes. And he showed up in like 7 minutes, which is great. And I saw him, and I ran out there, and I explained to him that first I need to go to the office. I need to pay them money, and if he wouldn't mind waiting, I'll be right back out, and then he could take me over to it's called a kai here, but it basically means the dock. And then I could go pick up my vehicle. And really nice guy, super accommodating, really helpful. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he waited for me while I went into the office and I talked to the people and I paid them the money and they gave me all kinds of paperwork and stamps and I got my original title back and it's got stuff written on it now. And that worked out great. And then I asked her, can you tell me the address of the dock so I can tell the taxi driver? And she's like, yep, no problem. And she gave me the address. And I got back out to the taxi guy. I'm like, okay, here's the next destination. Can you please take me to this office? And he starts talking about, well, do you know which Kai it is? And I told him, it's 501. And he's like, I'm not sure if they're going to let me pass that gate, but we can always try. And I'm just loving this guy because he's just being like the most helpfulest person ever. And we get to the port and I fill out some more paperwork and they tell me stuff and they give me this big old map. And they're like, okay, here's where we are. Here's where your Kai is, or your ICO number. Here's a map on how to get there. So I'm like, okay, thank you so much. And I hand the map to the driver and the driver's like, okay, cool. And we start driving and it's just, nothing is really labeled and we get a little lost. And he asks for this other person for help and this other person doesn't speak any language that he speaks. And he speaks a lot of languages. So then we keep driving around and we ask this other person. This other person knows everything. And he's like, yes, go this way, that way, this way, that way. Ta-da! And I'm like, yes. So we do that. And then all of a sudden I see my truck. And I have a little spasm. I'm like, oh my God, there's my truck, there's my truck, there's my truck. He's like, okay. And now I have my truck. And I forgot what it's like not to be crushed inside a car. It's wonderful. Yay, Merry Christmas to me. I got my truck.